Hi everyone, today I am here to talk about The Sicilian by Mario Puzo, who is famous for writing The Godfather. And I love The Sicilian. I have read it before and it was definitely interesting to read it again as an older and more mature person because it did change my thoughts about some of the main characters a little bit, just reading it as an adult. I think I first read it probably when I was in high school, maybe. I read The Godfather when I was 15, I believe, and so I probably read The Sicilian shortly after that. Well, not shortly, because there was enough time in between that I'm actually not sure which book I like better, because when I first read The Sicilian, I was like, I'm pretty sure I like this more than The Godfather, actually. And I love The Godfather. It's still really well written and everything, but just like story wise, ending wise, everything. Um, I like overall the Sicilian I thought I liked better. But it was enough time in between reading The Godfather and The Sicilian that I'd probably have to read them back to back. So maybe I should go check out The Godfather from the library so I can read them or read it and know which one I think is actually better, because I do love The Sicilian. I think it is so well written. I love how Mario Puzo writes. It's just beautiful. Like, even the metaphors that he uses, he described a car driving through town as like a black dragon winding its way through the streets. And I loved that. It's a book that I could just keep reading from the moment I started until the end, just because the writing is just so well done. It's nice. Even when there's descriptions, it's not like too much, pages and pages and pages. It's just beautiful. And the way he describes Sicily is beautiful, and the area where Turi lives. I should probably tell you what this is about as I go on and on about how I love this. So this is a fictionalized version of the life of Salvatore Giuliano, who was a man in Sicily. Obviously, he's a Sicilian, who basically started to fight kind of against the government. He was basically like a Robin Hood. That's how he's often described. He was stealing from rich people, giving to poor people, and living up in the mountains in Sicily with his band of people and evading police for many, many years. For 7 years, if I remember correctly, he was able to evade police and evade capture and everything like that. So, because I don't really want to give the ending of his story away for what happens at the end of the Sicilian, but it's good. So, yeah, the writing is beautiful, the story is interesting. Like I said, it is a fictionalized version, and I wouldn't say heavily fictionalized in the sense that there is a lot of truth in the story. There are a lot of events that happened that did happen in real life, but there are other parts that are obviously made up. Giuliano is made out to be, I would say, more of a hero in this story. And not like he wasn't in real life. The people of Sicily and the newspapers were printing, like I said, they were calling him a Robin Hood. Lots of people in Sicily loved him for what he was doing. A lot of people obviously hated him for what he was doing. So I don't want to detract from the sense that some people have of him being a hero of the people. But in my opinion, and not even based on historical things, just based on like my thoughts about the book. And the book, in my opinion, there are no good people. Except for the poor farmers that are just freaking slaving away so that they can survive while the mafia and the rich people take their goods so they can live in their little mansions. So I found that none of the, I guess would be main characters were necessarily good people at all, because even though Giuliano is seen and portrayed as more of a heroic figure, he does a lot of bad things as well, which is why I was like, oh, this is not how I remembered it. Because the first time I read the book when I was younger, I was like, yeah, he's like going against the government and like, bam, and he's punching him in the face and he's evading capture all these years and he's just totally awesome. And yeah. And then reading it now as an adult, I was like, ooh, some of these things he's doing I don't agree with, and yikes, that's bad. Yes, he's against the police and what they're doing, but probably some of the police that he hurts / kills, because that does happen and that doesn't give anything away in the story, were probably men just trying to do their job. They didn't have any grudge against him necessarily. They were probably just like, hey, I have to feed my family and this is my job, and so this is what I do. And they get caught in the crossfire of the warring parties, the mafia, the government, and Giuliano. Which is, it's what happens today in life too. Like, I'm not going to say it's just a thing that happens now. Like, the poor little people who are just trying to do their job so that they can survive are often caught up in the crap that is the world. So, yes, basically, although well written and so good, I feel like when you read it, there aren't any 100% good people. Which, is good to know, because no one's perfect in life. Even the great people that we hold in high esteem and stuff, like, none of them were perfect. And I'm not going to say they were all awful people either, doing horrible things, like some of the things Giuliano was doing in the book. But, nobody's perfect. So deal with it. I don't know. But like I said, it was definitely interesting to see how, as an adult, my thoughts about Giuliano changed from, yeah, he's a hero, to kind of like, he's definitely still a hero in some people's eyes, and it's very interesting, and I understand what he was trying to do, but some of the things, like I said, that he did end up doing, I definitely don't agree with. So, but I mean, at the end, you're still like, oh, Giuliano, like, you really have to read it to the end, to the finish, to the last word, because I'm not going to tell you what happens at the end. But there is a line at the end. It's like a professor of history talking about how the Don at the time, whose name is Don Croce, I think is how you say his name. I don't speak Italian, so sorry. He is talking with him about how in the histories, people aren't going to remember him as a professor. They aren't going to remember the Don who was in Sicily, like, ruling over this area at this time. But they are going to remember Giuliano. And I was like, because that's true. Like, all these people that we think are super important today, and I'm not saying, like, that they're not important and they're not still people that we should respect as people, but, like, all these actors and actresses or celebrities or TikTok stars or whatever, they aren't going to be remembered in the history books. It's people like Martin Luther King Jr. and, people that actually tried to help people and really fought for what they believed in and people's rights. Like, those are the people that in the long run we are going to remember. At least I think. Like, yes, I do know a lot of random actor and actresses' names, but, going back in history, I can't really... probably, if I racked back in my brain, I could name some actors and actresses that were, like, prominent in the 50s and 60s. But no, it's like the civil rights leaders, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., it's other people, or like Rosa Parks that I remember. It's not, oh, who was acting in this movie at this time, because that's so important. No. So I feel like that really was just, like, hammered, not like hammered into you, but it's just like, it really resonated with me. And I was like, that's true. Like, the people that stick to their guns and try and help other people, even though, like I said, didn't necessarily agree with everything that Giuliano was doing, those are the people who will be remembered. So, yeah. I don't know. I was like a really long rant. Not even a rant, just my observations of history and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, read The Sicilian. It's super well written. Yes, it's heavily fictionalized. Yes, I would suggest that you go... I would say after you read The Sicilian, so that you don't know, like, the big events that are going to happen throughout the story, go find articles about Salvatore Giuliano, or even just read his Wikipedia page, because, and this isn't going to give anything away, but at the beginning of the book, he's portrayed as an innocent young man in his 20s. Like, he's 20, I believe, actually, at the beginning of the book. And, he's just living his life. and trying to be good, whatever. In real life, by this time, he was already smuggling stuff on the black market and had gotten into like the olive oil business and stuff like that. So, like I said, it's in some parts it seems heavily fictionalized, but in other parts it's like, yes, this actually did happen in his life. Yes, this is how people responded during that time period. So, I mean, yeah, it's a work of fiction. Don't believe everything you read, and if you do, I don't know how to help you. It's just interesting, and obviously, like, that happens all the time. We romanticize historical figures all the time. It's totally fine, and I'm not saying anything against that. I'm just like, in real life, he wasn't this innocent boy at that time, but it works really well with the novel and what Mario Puzo was trying to do. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, I really like The Sicilian and The Godfather, and I definitely need to go reread The Godfather so that I can tell you which one I like better. Because like I said, when I first read The Sicilian, I was like, oh my gosh, this is better than The Godfather, and I don't know anyone else who knows about it. Like, I've never heard anyone mention The Sicilian before. Okay, everyone's always like The Godfather this and The Godfather that, and like, OMG, it was such a good movie and blah, blah, blah. Which they made a really crappy version of The Sicilian because they like couldn't get the rights and Mario Puzo wouldn't sell it or something weird like that. I don't know the whole backstory there, but basically there is a, quote, movie version of The Sicilian, but I've heard it's absolute poo and not really an adaptation of this at all. So don't watch that. Anyway, no one seems to talk about it, and it's really good, and, you know, when I read a book that I really like by an author, I'll go, especially when it's something that sticks in my mind, I'll go and look up other books that they have written. So, that's how I found this. That's how I found The Sicilian by Mario Puzo. I was like, Godfather was great. Oh, he's written other books. Because, you know, once again, people only talk about The Godfather, so I was like, he must have only written The Godfather. False. He wrote a lot of books. Most of them, well, I don't know most because I don't have a list of all his books in front of me right now, but a lot of them had to do with organized crime and the mafia. I have read The Last Dawn by Mario Puzo. Wasn't my favorite. It just wasn't as good as The Godfather and The Sicilian, in my opinion, and I thought it was kind of a drag compared to both of them, so you could still read it. Like, it wasn't horrible, it just wasn't my favorite. So, yeah, that was a really long, like, kind of convoluted review / historical view of The Sicilian, since it's based on a real person. But, man, it is so good. And just the ending and the feelings and the emotions, it was, yeah. Read The Sicilian by Mario Puzo, and also The Godfather if you haven't, because they're both good. Both good. I don't know, I didn't think of a question beforehand. I guess my question, since we're talking about Mario Puzo, and The Godfather is his famous thing. Most famous work, his famous thing. Well, that thing. His novel. Have I seen The Godfather movie? Yes, I have. Sort of. I wasn't able to make it all the way through. Maybe because I was trying to watch it on a plane. Not the best place to watch movies. But also, Sonny is my favorite brother. And not Michael. I'll just say that because I don't want to give anything away from the plot if you haven't read it or seen the movie. But it focuses on Michael. And I'm just like, So, I mean, it gets so much praise, and I'm not saying that it was horrible, but I felt like there were some parts that kind of dragged on, especially when Michael was in Italy, and I know it's still important to the plot, but I basically never got past that part in the movie. I'm definitely going to give it another go, because, you know, it's so famous, but I have never, and I've tried more than once, so not even when I was on the plane before that, I've tried to watch The Godfather 2, and that 2 as in TOO, The Godfather as well, more than once, and have never made it all the way through. Yeah. I think the first time I was just too tired, and then the second time I was on the airplane, which, like I said, not the best place, but I did think it does drag a little bit, and it does cover a lot of time. I believe, if I remember correctly, the Godfather book takes place over 10 years, and they're trying to shove all of that and condense it down into one film. So, yeah, I haven't made it all the way through, but I know that it's historically important and I should probably watch it eventually. Maybe, or I'll just keep reading the book. One or the other. Yes. If you like it, good for you. I don't care. I think the acting was good, except I will admit, probably one of the reasons I never made it through The Godfather is I don't like, I forgot his name for a second, Marlon Brando's portrayal of Don Corleone. I hate that he has this weird underbite. I hate that he speaks like it's just not how I pictured him in the book, and I thought it was such a weird choice. Like, it's not like he needs to be this suave, like, so handsome, perfect dude or whatever, but this weird prosthetic they had Marlon Brando, or that he decided to put in, and I was just like, why are you talking? It annoyed me. That's probably why I've never made it all the way through, to be honest. Marlon Brando's performance annoyed me, which is weird because everyone else was like, it's so good. And I was like, I don't know. It's just, yeah. Read the book. That's my suggestion. Read the book. Anyway, yes, once again, this was, as we went off on a little Godfather tangent after being like, no one talks about the Sicilian. Read The Sicilian by Mario Puzo. It's very good. Highly suggest. Read it more than once, which means I usually like it because I don't read books more than once if I don't like them. Check it out. Thank you so much for watching this video, and comment. Have you seen The Godfather? Have you read The Godfather? Have you read The Sicilian? What do you think? Do you like Mario Puzo's writing? What do you think about the Godfather movie? What do you think about Marlon Brando's performance? Be honest, okay? Don't just eat up what the movie critics or the people tell you. Be honest. Did you like it or not? And yeah, please like, subscribe, comment, follow. I also do a podcast called Fighting for Writing, which I will put my link tree in the comments below or in the description below so that you can find all the places that streams. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, TatesAPB, and I have a website, tatesapb.com, blah, blah, blah. That'll all be in my link tree. You guys are awesome. This one turned out to be really long because I couldn't shut up about how I like the Sicilian and historical figures and blah. So thank you so much for watching and making it all the way through. If you did, you all have a great day.